Mamta Modi, the beauty editor of TataCLiQ, and I'm joined today by some very interesting voices in the beauty industry to talk about the future of skincare. We're seeing a beauty evolution right now. As our relationship with our surroundings change, our priorities are changing as well. We're looking at making more conscious decisions when we're buying. We're looking to support more ethical brands as well. And this is going to have a huge impact on the beauty industry because we're not looking for products that are just good for us, but products that promise efficacy as well as safety. We have with us today Anju Rupal, who is a social entrepreneur and the founder of the sustainable and fair trade beauty brand Bati Suisse.
Thank you, Mamta, for having me as part of your weekend with ELLE. Super excited to be able to share my learnings as an entrepreneur. Yeah, very happy.
We're also joined by Dr. Chytra V Anand, a cosmetic dermatologist and the founder of Cosmederma Clinics.
Thank you so much, Mamta, for inviting me. I'm really excited and happy to be on this panel.
And there's also Arjun, a skincare expert who specializes in green and sustainable beauty.
Hi, Mamta. I'm really excited to be here. Thanks for having me.
Technology is changing the beauty industry to be more efficient and eco-conscious. For example, we know that natural beauty is not all that great for the planet. Natural ingredients need farmland, they need water, they need energy and resources to produce. And that's where biotech ingredients come in. Now, these are lab-made ingredients that wipe off the need of all these resources. It's basically a fusion of the natural ingredient with something synthetic or a synthetic alternative that is just as efficient. So if you come to think about it, this basically means that you can get really good, efficient squalene that's made in the lab without having to harm any sharks for their squalene-rich livers or harvesting any olives. What I'd really like to know, where do you think biotech ingredients is going to lead the beauty industry in the future?
Biotech is a way to really ensure that we're just being very mindful about the plants we use. And we have particularly a complex, our own Bati complex, where everything that's used, which is, because we also use very rare plants, is like stretched and you need less of it. So we can still have the performance and everything needed for our products, but we're just extremely mindful about how these plants are being used and also sourced for us. And there's some amazing advances happening in the biotech space. I'm seeing that in our own labs as well.
The main problems with the beauty industry is that we get stuck in these binaries a bit. Often there's like nuances to these discussions. So for instance, while it is true that natural ingredients take a lot of like energy and resources to grow, they are often like farmed in large quantities already and directly supporting small farmers, and especially if they're using like organic farming methods, and if there are certain ingredients like palm oil, which are directly responsible for the destruction of rainforests, for instance, which I can think of rosewood oil, which for instance is protected because of all the overexploitation due to increased demand. Something people don't think about is like synthetic ingredients also require raw materials from nature to produce them, and often they use like a lot of petrochemicals, which are mined from nature and linked to pollution as well. There is definitely a place for lab-based ingredients or biotech, like high-tech ingredients that are high-performing, but are also sustainably. So it's better to sort of like think of it as, are we being sustainable? So I do think these ingredients are great. And it would be, and like my favorite kind of brands combine natural ingredients that are sustainably sourced along with high-tech ingredients that are cutting edge as well.
It's true. We have natural ingredients and we have naturally derived ingredients. And then today we have technology. Biotechnology will really ease up our life. The reason being that it'll be faster to make these active skincare ingredients. It'll also be less heavy load on the planet. So Mother Earth is not going to be so angry and vicious at us. And with the efficacy of the products when we use biotech, hyaluronic acid, our body doesn't know if it's made in the lab or if it's plant origin or animal origin. It just knows the coding behind it. The same thing goes for other ingredients like peptides. Peptides are a new buzzword in anti-aging molecules. And so peptides are also biotech derived. So there's a huge component of biotech and the whole phrase of natural that goes, the landscape looks amazing with biotech being involved, because there are so many things we can create in a test tube or a beaker in the lab that we couldn't do if it had to be natural without destroying a life form. So I'm really excited about biotech, and I think it's going to be the next big thing.
When it comes to smarter technology, it's not just about technology transforming our beauty products, but we're seeing this coming into our homes as well. We're seeing smart skincare tools that we can use at home, like really cool LED masks or a facial toning device, or even a microneedling device that can be used at home without the need of an expert. All this could shape our beauty routines to just be more efficient. What I'd really like to know from you is, do you think that this could change our skincare routines on a day-to-day basis?
I think they're really great, especially in like the time we are in, like considering most of us are in lockdown. Like, these are originally designed, like a lot of these tools, especially if you look at microneedling tools, for instance, like they are designed for professionals. And you have to bear in mind things like hygiene. So you have to make sure it's disinfected every single time. Also, you have to be quite consistent. You have to follow the guidelines from the manufacturer as well. So as long as like you take all those things into consideration, I do think these tools are really great. And again, like LED devices, you have to be careful of your eyes, for instance. I do really like microneedling devices because one of my main concerns is like texture, like skin texture and acne marks. And I think it really works.
I think smart technology is just going to make us smarter with our skincare and hair care once we imbibe technology. Right now, one side, you have the home use devices that we're talking about. We all know that skin is dynamic, right? And it changes every 4 weeks. So what happens is, for maintenance between these procedures at a dermatology clinic with your dermatologist, you can definitely use these home devices. You talked about LED devices, light emitting diodes. They're great for people with hair loss and thinning hair for maintenance. Once you've had that active procedure, the one that's corrective and reparative, to maintain those results, you use LED at home for long-term maintenance. Same with your skin. You can use different LED lights. It could be red to calm your skin down. If you're sensitive skin, it can be green for pigmentation. It can be blue for acne. The other thing we talked about, microneedling. Now, anything that cuts through the tissue surface barrier, I do think needs monitoring or proper training. The reason is that the environment we live in India is not conducive to breaking your skin barrier. We can easily acquire infection, and Indian skin is different. It's pigmented in nature. So I think there's always the good. There's a slight bit of bad, but as long as we proceed with the right intention, the right information, and proper guidelines, we'll be safe.
We're also seeing AI personalization shaping the way we shop beauty. There are brands and online retailers that are using digital evaluations, online consultation, facial mapping systems, not just to suggest us the right product, but also to create a formula that is created just for our needs. While this technology is still in its early stages, I do feel that it has huge potential to change the way we shop or even buy skincare. This takes the guesswork out of buying beauty products because there's technology helping you do that. How do you think the beauty industry can make the most of this?
From my limited experience, like it didn't really work for me. Like it only told me things I already knew, like things like, okay, like this is your skin type, like you have to sort of like, there are parts that are a bit dehydrated and things like that. So if you're new to it, and if you don't have, like, especially if you're in lockdown, you don't have access to a skincare counter, or you can't go to a professional. So I think this could be a good alternative if it works. But in the future, it would be really great if there was a way for it to be more accurate. Like if they could actually, like instead of just predicting your skin type, it could actually tell what your skin type is and kind of identify areas of concern. I think it really works in color cosmetics as well, things like lipsticks and stuff, because you can kind of use a filter to try things on. And often it's like a bit of a risk because the lighting's always different. So I think if there was a way for it to sort of like take all those variables into account and match your foundation, I think that would be something like that would be really great.
I see it as twofold. One, for the industry level, which is the doctors, the dermatologists who practice, and one is for the consumer side, the customers. Actually, the good AI tools, you can go take your selfie pictures in the different angles, and then it'll scroll through certain data points which are mapped into the system, and it'll give out like a differential diagnosis to you. So now what happens with the AI, you have a little bit of a knowledge bank behind it, because you have a template, you have a questionnaire that you fill out, and you also have your skin pictures. And with that, it'll give you more of a focused approach. It takes out all the noise, all the background, and it focuses you more into the right track. So in these ways, I think it's a great thing to have. We've been using AI as a diagnostic tool and a photography tool for our patients, especially, tracking their treatments, tracking their progress, and all of that. And we work with 3 different companies to help them build out their AI tools. One of the apps that I've been working out, one is an app. So this is one of the apps that I worked with.
There's been a lot of talk around clean beauty, especially with sunscreens coming under the scanner. But the next big move in clean would be brands marrying ethics with accountability and transparency, and also a lot of safety, because that's what conscious beauty consumers want. We're already seeing a lot of indie beauty brands doing this by being more accountable and transparent with their labeling. But where does this lead us in the future? What do consumers really want from beauty brands according to you?
Evolution. It's just you have to keep evolving. You have to keep in touch with what are the latest market and what is really going to work for your demographic or the consumer data base that you're actually catering to. Like when we look up something like, let's say, retinol, it's been there for so long. There's so much data over 20 years that we now know how efficacious retinol really is. And then there's a new contender on the market on the clean beauty side called bakuchiol. So when we talk about that, it's a plant origin. But does it really work like retinol? No, it's a retinol affiliate, but it doesn't work like the way retinol works. So the data is now coming out. So these are few things that people need to keep in mind if they want to make an efficacious skincare. You could be a marketing genius and then be the first one to create a buzz in the market, or you could be one who plays for the long stay where you're actually making definitive changes and you're evidence-based. We all know that to say it's organic, the soil should be free of pesticides and chemicals for 15 years. Until then, you can't even claim organic. So are you harvesting enough agriculturally to actually get to claim organic on your skincare? And all these factors matter.
Being transparent about what you do and how you do it. I think also really addressing the whole supply chain. I mean, we source our ingredients from farmers. They have a much better income than if they had worked in another space, addressing their needs as well. And then, for example, we saw working with our farmers that there was a whole issue around education, that the girls weren't being sent to school. So we added that, embedded that into our business model. So I just think it's you can't cut corners being a sustainable brand. It's taken us 7 years to get where we are now. And I'm still not where I want to be. But I think it's exciting because everyone's working together to really sort of to address issues that are going to affect all of us in many, many years to come down the road.
I think previously there was like a big focus on being clean or green. And that's still sort of a focus for a lot of brands, but it's also like taking into account like all the other factors as well. So how are you sort of like helping communities? Like what do you stand for? And I think that's also the case with a lot of mainstream brands as well, because everyone wants to know you support certain things. It's all about like what that brand represents. And like often the founder of the brand plays like an important role as well. Being really transparent as well, like making sure you're communicating to the customer when something's wrong. It becomes like this whole like brand, like you become the brand in a way. And it's just like I guess with like TikTok or Instagram, like people want things to be really real, and like it's just an extension of that, I think.
Thank you for sharing your knowledge on the future of skincare. And to everyone watching, I hope this gives you a sneak peek into the new era of beauty.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks so much, Mamta, for organizing this. And it was great to sort of like chat with you all and compare notes and like share our thoughts on skincare.
Thank you so much, Mamta, for this panel. I really had fun interacting with you and our co-panelists. There's so much to learn just by all of these interactions. So thanks for having me.